Gemini, how are you? Let's do a reading for your current energy, shall we? As always, please take what works, leave what doesn't. We all know who we are in this story. Now, I sure appreciate each and every one of you. I really do. And if you appreciate what I do here, help me out. Hit that like button. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Really makes a difference to my channel. And I would love to see my channel continue to grow. So help me make that happen. All right, let's see what's coming on for all of my Geminis. Grateful, thankful for the messages for Gemini, always. All right, let's cut this deck and see what your first card is. We have the Two of Cups to the King of Cups. Oh, there's a relationship brewing for someone. Maybe you're sitting on the fence about, how to proceed with this relationship. We have, emotions run deep with this King of Cups, and we do have the Two of Cups. Now, I am seeing two men. It doesn't have to be two men. It could be two men, two women, a male, a female. It doesn't matter. You know who this person is, all right? But we do have the Lover's card at the base of what's going on, and we have the Two of Pentacles above you. So I feel like you can't pretend anymore about your feelings towards this person. All right, we do have this Devil card in the recent past, which can indicate that, it wasn't a very healthy relationship. And I think you started to realize that. Now, when we have the Devil card coming in like this, sometimes what we need to do is, start to do those things that are better for us, and release ourselves from a situation that doesn't feel good. All right. And with the Lover's card here, these two are really opposites. All right. It's like you realize that this connection isn't healthy. It's not good. It's not what you really want. And I feel like you can't pretend anymore, especially when that Two of Pentacles comes in upside down. Now, we do have the Queen of Cups coming in alongside this King, so this is you're very coupled with this person, all right? But I feel like you don't trust the other person, or their emotions kind of run amok, and, you really struggle, with trying to communicate and trying to make things work between you and this person. Because like I said, that Devil energy, can indicate that, there's some toxic behavior that's going on between the two of you. And I think you do want to find resolution, but you also want to move on. Because we have this Six of Pentacles, and she's holding like this gift, like an offering of like, maybe we can figure out what we can do so that we can all, move on and feel a lot better. This is going to require some patience. We have this Temperance card coming in, but I think you have to be very, very honest. And I think you have to really kind of honor yourself. The fact that you recognize that there is some energy between you and your person that is just not healthy. You need to find resolution. And I think, you being a Gemini, you're thinking, how can I fix this? How can I turn this around? How can I make this work for all of us? You want to feel good in this situation. You don't want to feel bad about it. But yet, there is this need for you guys to figure out, what's the next step. Now, we do have the Page of Pentacles coming in here reversed. Maybe the two of you are intertwined materially. Maybe you own a house, maybe you have a business together. There's just some kind of connection that, kind of binds you. And we do have this Four of Pentacles also, coming in, and it's reversed, so I feel as if, there's going to have to be a compromise that is made in order to be able to work through this. Maybe one person is not working and the other person is, and we're struggling for money, and now we're having to dip into our funds, and that's not making you feel good. Maybe this person overspends and doesn't realize that the money tree doesn't have any more coins on it. It's one of these energies where, you've got to face it head on, and you want to find some peace so that you guys can both move on and feel better about it. Now, the fact that we have the Temperance card coming in here as a final outcome, I feel as if things can be worked out if they are handled. All right. It's one of those situations where if we continue to pretend that this is not a problem, all right, maybe overspending is the issue, then, we've got to face it. All right. We can't keep pretending that, we have all of this money and we can just do what we want to do, especially when you realize that, this just isn't good for any of us. maybe one person spends money on everything that they want, you know, and then there's not enough for the we part of this, you know. So I feel like, you know, there is a resolution here, especially with the Temperance card coming in the way it is, and the fact that this Six of Swords brings some kind of a peace offering. Look, we can figure this out. We just have to each kind of give up a little bit of something. We can't always do what we want to do. Sometimes, you know, we can't do it this week. Sometimes we have to put it off till next month. You know, there has to be a compromise. And I feel like that will help resolve this issue of this queen, you know, feeling all emotionally upset and, you know, not knowing how to really handle the situation, because there is this lack of trust that has now been built, because you don't trust that this person is not going to go buy themselves a new pair of shoes, you know, because they just have this obsession with shoes. You know, it's one of these situations where you need to really deal with this head on and not pretend that we have the resources, that we can, you know, we can't just keep spending and not, you know, reinvested into our lives, you know, because, you know, we're depleting our resources here, and we need to like look for, you know, towards the future. You know, winter's coming up and we're going to have big bills and we're going to need that money. You know, there's, you know, the practicality of really being jointly financed with each other. You know, it's like you have to like really find that balance that will work, so that, you know, we're not struggling, so that we do figure things out, so that, you know, everything will be okay. All right. So I am feeling like that's really the crux of your message here. We do have the Ace of Cups coming in here reversed. I think this has been a problem that has come up between the two of you, and it really kind of questions, you know, whether or not you guys are going to survive this, especially when we have the Eight of Cups sitting here right below it, because I feel like this is an issue that we have brought up before. All right. And now we're down to like, you did it again. And, you know, do I give you another chance? I don't know. I'm really angry. I'm really upset. We need to figure this out. You know, so I feel like this is one of those weeks that we can no longer pretend that this issue is just going to be swept under the rug. We need to deal with it. We need to face it, and we need to talk about it. Especially since, you know, we want to have some kind of resolution. I don't think either one of you wants to throw this out the door, you know, but right now, you know, the love is not there, you know, because there is all of this fear of like, you know, you can't keep doing what you're doing because it's not going to work for us. You know, it just doesn't help the two of us and this future vision that we had when we first got together. So, yeah, I think this is one of these weeks where, you know, have the conversation. There needs to be a compromise, Gemini, and I think that is the message for you this week. All right, with that being said, be happy, be healthy, be kind, and I'll see you later. Bye now.